The aliens gave Earth 7 days to surrender. On the 7th day, they returned with 300 warships, but their mistake had already happened. It happened inside the command hall of the Varkon flagship Night Spear, when Supreme Admiral Dravik looked down at 3 humans and promised to burn their world. The hall was built to make weaker species feel small. Its ceiling rose high above them. Its black walls showed thousands of conquered planets, each marked with the silver symbol of the Varkon Empire. Every image told the same story: submit or disappear. Dravik stood at the head of the long metal table. He had stone-gray skin, 4 armored arms, and red eyes that had watched kings kneel, armies fall, and entire worlds beg for mercy. Across from him sat 3 humans. They looked almost fragile. Ambassador Elena Ward wore a simple dark suit with a small Earth badge on her chest. Beside her sat Captain Noah Reyes, calm and sharp-eyed. On her other side was Dr. Amina Wells, who studied the room like she was inside a museum instead of an enemy flagship. Dravik hated their calmness. "You understand why you are here," he said. "Your planet has been discovered. Your species has reached the edge of true space. That makes you useful, but dangerous. The Varkon Empire offers protection." Elena looked at him. Protection from what? Dravik leaned forward. From us. The officers along the wall stayed still. They had heard this speech many times before. Most species started shaking by this point. Some cried, some begged, a few tried to argue. Humans did something else. Noah coughed once, trying not to laugh. Amina looked down, but her shoulders moved. Then Elena smiled. Not a scared smile, a real one. Dravik's red eyes narrowed. "You find extinction funny?" "No," Elena said softly. "It is just that your speech sounds familiar." Dravik's voice hardened. "Impossible." "Not from aliens, from empires." Amina finally looked up. "Every conqueror thinks they are the final one. Every empire thinks history belongs to them." Elena placed both hands on the table. "We have heard men say this before. Kings, colonizers, dictators, people with bigger armies, louder flags, and too much confidence." Dravik's claws pressed into the metal. "And where are these human empires now?" Elena's smile faded. "In books," she said. "In ruins. In museums." The hall went silent. For the first time, Dravik felt something unfamiliar. Not fear, not yet. Confusion. "You compare your primitive history to 4,000 years of Varkon rule?" "No," Elena said. "We compare your mistake to theirs." One officer stepped forward. "Admiral, they are insulting the throne." Noah looked at him. "Actually, we are warning it." Dravik rose to his full height. "You have 7 Earth days. Submit, and your species survives. Refuse, and your planet burns." Elena stood too. She was smaller than him by half, but she did not look small anymore. "Admiral Dravik, humanity refuses." Dravik's eyes burned brighter. "Then Earth will die." Elena turned to leave, then paused. "One more thing," she said. "This entire conversation is being broadcast live to Earth." Dravik froze. "Elena," Noah said quietly, 8 billion viewers just heard him." Amina smiled. "And humans really hate being threatened at home." Elena looked back at Dravik one last time. "You gave us 7 days. We only needed you to say it out loud." Then the humans disappeared in a flash of light. Dravik stared at the empty chairs. For the first time in centuries, the Varkon Empire had made a threat, and the threatened species had laughed. 7 days later, the Varkon fleet returned, expecting surrender, but Earth's final reply was not fear. It was a joke.
7 days later.
The Varkon fleet returned. 300 warships dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the Sol system. Their black hulls blocked the stars like moving walls. At the center of the formation was the Night Spear, Supreme Admiral Dravik's flagship. On its bridge, Dravik watched Earth on the main screen. Blue oceans, white clouds, green land. A beautiful world. A doomed world, he believed. "Open broadcast," Dravik ordered. His face appeared across Earth. Every phone, television, public screen, and emergency display showed his burning red eyes. "Humans of Earth," he said, "your 7 days are over. Submit now. Lower your defenses. Accept Varkon rule. If you obey, your species will continue. If you refuse, your world will burn." He paused. "You have 1 hour." Beneath the mountains of New Geneva, Earth Defense Command was silent. General Mara Holt stood in front of the main screen. Around her, officers watched the enemy fleet move closer. Some looked afraid. Some held family photos near their consoles. No one ran. Ambassador Elena Ward stood beside her. Noah Reyes leaned in. "Ready?" Elena nodded. "Send it." On the Night Spear, a message from Earth arrived. Dravik opened it, expecting surrender. Instead, 5 words appeared. "We are still not interested." Below the message was a small image of a human hand waving goodbye. For 1 breath, no one moved. Then Dravik roared, "All ships advance! Target their major cities! Prepare city-breaker weapons!" The Varkon fleet moved forward, and Earth woke up. Thousands of satellites changed position. Harmless weather stations opened hidden armor. Research platforms turned toward the enemy. Around the moon, dark craters lit with buried weapons. The Varkon sensors screamed. "Admiral," an officer shouted, "the satellites are armed!" General Dravik's voice cut into every Varkon channel. "This is Earth Defense Command. You threatened our home. You ignored our answer. You came here expecting fear." Her voice became hard. "Now you get humanity." Then she looked at the communications officer. "Play it." Music exploded across every frequency. Drums, guitars, a human voice screaming with wild energy. The Varkon bridge fell into confusion. "What is this attack?" Dravik demanded. "It is not a weapon. It is music." Then Earth fired. Railgun rounds crossed space at terrifying speed. Metal slugs smashed into Varkon shields with brutal force. 3 front cruisers broke apart before they could return fire. Dravik stepped back. For the first time, the Varkon Empire had arrived to conquer a world, and the world had hit first. While the Varkon stared at Earth's hidden weapons, the real trap moved out from behind the moon. The real trap moved out from behind the moon. Human warships appeared from the lunar shadow, engines burning blue-white. They had waited silently, hidden behind the moon's mass, while the Varkon fleet focused on Earth's orbit. Now they came forward fast. They were smaller than Varkon warships, but they moved like blades. On the Night Spear, alarms screamed from every console. "Enemy ships behind us! Rear shields taking fire! Carrier Group 3 is losing power!" Dravik clenched all 4 fists. This was not possible. Lesser species panicked. They begged. They fired weak weapons and died. Humans were not behaving like a lesser species. They were controlling the battle. "Push toward Earth," Dravik ordered. "Break their orbital line. Fire on their command centers." His fleet obeyed. That was exactly what Earth wanted. In New Geneva, General Mara Holt watched the map. The Varkon formation was stretched, damaged, and exposed. "Lunar Group has entered position. an officer said. Holt nodded. Cut their rear line. Disable engines and weapons. Rescue escape pods where possible. Noah looked at her. Even now? Even now, Holt said. We defend Earth. We do not become monsters. The human ships attacked from behind. Missiles struck engines. Rail rounds punched through exposed armor. Electronic attacks filled Varkon screens with false targets. Human ships appeared where there was empty space, vanished where they actually were, then returned from impossible angles. A Varkon commander screamed across the channel, "How many ships do they have?" No one answered, because no one knew. Then a human voice entered the broadcast. "This is Commander Iris Vale of the Earth ship Last Laugh. Varkon vessels, your shields are failing, your engines are breaking, and your admiral is having a terrible day. Escape pods are safe. Staying on your ships is not." Several Varkon officers looked at each other. Dravik roared, "Any soldier who abandons ship will be executed." But fear of death had become stronger than fear of punishment. One damaged cruiser launched escape pods, then another, then 7 more. Dravik's eyes burned. Cowards. Second Officer Varnik spoke quietly. "They want to live." Dravik turned toward him. "What did you say?" Before Varnik could answer, 6 Varkon City Breaker missiles launched toward Earth. The human response came instantly. From the moon, 6 massive projectiles fired upward. They crossed space like silent lightning and struck the missiles above Earth's atmosphere. 6 white flashes bloomed in orbit. Earth's shield shimmered, but it held. The Varkon City Breakers were gone. Dravik stared at the blue planet below. He finally understood the worst truth. Earth had not survived because it was lucky. Earth had planned for this. When Dravik ordered retreat, humanity did something no empire expected. They followed him home. Retreat. The word left Dravik's mouth like poison. Across the battlefield, damaged Varkon ships turned away from Earth. Their engines burned unevenly. Some vessels leaked fire and frozen air. Escape pods floated between the wreckage. The fleet had arrived as conquerors. It was leaving as survivors. "Prepare faster-than-light jump," Dravik ordered. "All remaining ships regroup at the outer marker." Varnik checked the display. His face tightened. "Admiral, human ships are following." Dravik turned slowly. "Impossible." But the screen did not lie. 12 human ships had left Earth's defense line and were accelerating toward the retreating fleet. A message appeared on the main screen. Ambassador Elena Ward looked calm. "Admiral Dravik," she said, "you came to our home. You threatened our families. You fired on our planet. Leaving is wise, but do not confuse mercy with weakness." Her voice sharpened. "We are not finished." Dravik slammed a fist into his command chair. "Cut the transmission." The screen went dark. Then it lit again. This time it showed a small cartoon of Earth wearing sunglasses. Below it were the words, "You started this." Varnik whispered, "They are inside our communication system again." Dravik said nothing. The Varkon fleet jumped. Space bent. Stars stretched. For several minutes, the damaged ships traveled through secret military jump lanes. No enemy should have been able to follow. The paths were encrypted. The codes were imperial. Then alarms screamed. "Multiple jump signatures behind us." Human ships appeared from faster-than-light travel in perfect position. Commander Iris Vale's voice filled the bridge. "Thanks for the route, Admiral. Your navigation codes were easier to steal than your lunch menu." No one spoke. Then the human ships fired, not at the fleet, at the empty space ahead. Small devices scattered across the jump lane, blinking softly. Varnik understood first. "Mines!" Dravik's blood went cold. The humans were not trying to destroy them. They were pushing them somewhere.
"Where does this lane lead?" Dravik demanded. The navigator swallowed. "To the outer colonies, the labor worlds." Dravik stared at the map. The humans were herding the Imperial fleet toward its own prisoners. On Orin 7, the first labor world saw the broken fleet arrive, and rebellion began before a single human soldier landed.
Orin 7 was not a world to the Empire. It was a machine. Its mines produced rare metals, its factories refined war fuel, its workers lived underground, counted by numbers instead of names. The Varkon called it a labor colony. The people trapped there called it a prison with a sky. When the damaged Imperial fleet appeared above Orin 7, every screen on the planet showed it. Workers looked up from mining pits. Children stared from shelter halls. Old prisoners who had spent decades lowering their eyes slowly lifted their heads. The Empire's ships were burning, and human vessels were behind them. The guards panicked first. "Back to work," they shouted. "Eyes down." But no one moved. Then every speaker went silent. No work orders, no punishment warnings, no imperial anthem. Just silence. After 5 seconds, Ambassador Elena Ward appeared on every screen. "People of Orin 7, she said, "we are humanity. The Empire came to Earth and tried to break us. They failed. Now they are running." Across the mines, no one breathed. Elena continued, "We are not here to become your new rulers. We are not here to take your world. We are here to offer a choice." Documents appeared beside her. Prison records, stolen food reports, execution orders, secret files proving how the Empire had used Orin 7's people like disposable tools. "You were told no one was coming. That was a lie." In Tunnel Sector 9, a young worker named Talon felt his chest tighten. His father had died in those mines. His mother had disappeared after refusing extra labor. All his life, Talon had believed the Empire was too large to fight. Now he was watching Imperial ships limp across the sky. A guard raised his weapon. "Back to work." Still, no one moved. Talon picked up a mining hammer. His hands shook. He was not trained. He was not brave in the way heroes were supposed to be brave. But he was tired. Tired of fear. Tired of hunger. Tired of watching people vanish. He stepped forward. Then another worker stepped beside him. Then 20. Then hundreds. Across Orin 7, the same thing happened. In repair yards, in food lines, in sleeping blocks. The oppressed did not wait for rescue. They became the rescue. Above the planet, Commander Iris Vale watched the uprising spread on her screen. "Ground resistance is active," an officer said. Iris smiled sadly. They were ready. They only needed proof. The Varkon orbital guns turned toward the rebel districts. Before they could fire, human ships struck them with perfect precision. One by one, the guns fell silent. On the Night Spear, Dravik watched Orin 7 rise. For the first time, he did not see workers. He saw people. When Orin 7 declared itself free, the Imperial Council ordered Dravik to punish the planet. The punishment order arrived 12 minutes after Orin 7 declared freedom. It came from the Varkon capital, sealed with the authority of the Imperial Council. Crush the rebellion. Destroy the main worker districts. Leave survivors only as a warning. On the bridge of the Night Spear, Dravik read the order twice. His officers waited. No one spoke. Below them, Orin 7 was alive. Prison gates were opening. Workers were freeing families. Human medical ships were landing with food, doctors, and translators. The punishment order arrived 12 minutes after Orin 7 declared freedom. It came from the Varkon capital, sealed with the authority of the Imperial Council. Crush the rebellion.
Destroy the main worker districts. Leave survivors only as a warning. On the bridge of the Night Spear, Dravik read the order twice. His officers waited. No one spoke. Below them, Orin 7 was alive. Prison gates were opening. Workers were freeing families. Human medical ships were landing with food, doctors, and translators. The planet was not attacking the Empire. It was breathing for the first time. Varnek stood beside Dravik. "Admiral, the Council expects immediate action." Dravik looked at the tactical display. One shot from the Night Spear could erase the largest rebel city. 3 shots could break the uprising. That was what he had been trained to do. That was how the Empire ruled. Fear first, silence after. But something had changed inside him. He remembered Earth's defiance. He remembered human ships rescuing Varkon escape pods. He remembered Elena Ward saying mercy was not weakness. "Target the rebel districts," Dravik said. The weapons officer hesitated, then obeyed. Varnek's eyes widened. "Admiral." Dravik raised one hand. The main cannon began to charge. On the human ship Last Laugh, alarms screamed. Commander Iris Vale stared at the screen. "Night Spear is preparing to fire on the city." "Can we stop it?" someone asked. "Not in time." Iris opened a direct channel. "Admiral Dravik, stand down. Those are civilians." For a moment there was no reply. Then Dravik's face appeared. "I know," he said. The cannon reached full charge. Human ships turned toward the Night Spear. They would not reach him in time, but they moved anyway, because that was what humans did. Dravik gave the order, "Fire." A beam of white fire shot from the Night Spear, but it did not hit Orin 7. It struck the Varkon Orbital Command Station. The station exploded above the planet, taking with it the officers coordinating the punishment attack. The bridge of the Night Spear fell silent. Varnek stared at Dravik. The weapons officer whispered, "Admiral, that is treason." Dravik looked down at the free world below. "No," he said, "for the first time in my life, it is duty." Across Orin 7, people saw the Imperial Station burning. They did not understand at first. Then Elena's voice came over the broadcast. "People of Orin 7, the city is safe." For one breath there was silence. Then the whole planet cheered. In space, Iris Vale lowered her weapons. "Admiral Dravik," she said softly, "welcome to the wrong side of the Empire." Dravik did not smile, but for the first time, defeat did not feel like shame. It felt like waking up. When the Council learned Dravik had betrayed them, they sent War Marshal Kaelor Ven, the commander even Varkon's soldiers feared. War Marshal Kaelor Ven did not lead with speeches. He led with executions. When the Imperial Council received Dravik's message, the capital chamber turned cold. For 4,000 years, no Supreme Admiral had refused a punishment order. No commander had fired on an Imperial station to protect prisoners. High Chancellor Morvath watched the footage again and again. "Dravik has accepted human weakness," he said, "so we will answer with discipline." He sent for Kaelor. Kaelor arrived within the hour. He was taller than Dravik, older, and covered in black battle scars. His left eye had been replaced by a blue military sensor. He had crushed rebellions on 70 worlds. Once, he ended an uprising by cutting food supplies until the rebels surrendered their own leaders. No one loved him. Everyone obeyed him. Morvath gave one order: "Recover Orin 7. Kill Dravik, break the humans." Kaelor bowed. "It will be done." 2 days later, his fleet arrived at the edge of the Orin system. Only 40 ships came with him, but every ship belonged to the Black Discipline Fleet, the most feared force in the Empire. Their crews were trained from childhood to obey. Their weapons were built not only to destroy, but to terrify anyone watching. On Orin 7, the celebration stopped when warning sirens began. Talon stood in the main square, still holding his mining hammer. Around him, freed families looked up at the sky. A child whispered, "We just won." Talon swallowed. "Then we learn how to keep winning." Above the planet, Commander Iris Vale moved human ships into defense formation. The damaged Night Spear joined them, its imperial markings half burned away. Iris opened a channel to Dravik. "You know this, Commander?" Dravik's face appeared, grim and tired. "Yes." "Can he be reasoned with?" "No." That single word carried more fear than any speech. Kaler's voice entered every channel. "Admiral Dravik, you betrayed your blood, your oath, and your empire. Surrender, and your death will be quick. Refuse, and I will erase the city you protected." Dravik closed his eyes for 1 second, then opened them. "No." Kaler did not shout. He simply raised one hand. The Black Discipline Fleet fired. Not at the human ships, not at the Night Spear, at Orin 7. A storm of missiles fell toward the planet. Human defenses reacted instantly. Railguns fired, interceptors launched. Dravik moved the Night Spear into the path of several missiles, taking hits meant for the world below. The ship shook violently. Varnik grabbed a console. "Admiral, shields are failing." Dravik looked at the planet. "Hold position." Iris watched in shock as the former enemy flagship shielded people it once helped enslave. Then she understood the real battle. Kaler wanted to prove nobody could change. Dravik was proving him wrong. Kaler's next missile was not aimed at Orin 7. It was aimed directly at Dravik's bridge.
The missile came straight for the Night Spear's bridge. It was dark, fast, and almost invisible against space. Its warhead carried a gravity charge designed to crush command decks from the inside. Kaler did not want to destroy the ship. He wanted Dravik's crew to watch him die. "Impact in 20 seconds!" Varnik shouted. The bridge alarm screamed. Sparks fell from broken panels. The ship was already wounded, already leaking air from 3 decks, already running on emergency power. Dravik stared at the missile on the display. He did not move. Varnik stepped closer. "Admiral, we can transfer command to the lower battle room." "No." "Sir, if that missile hits—" "I know." For years, Dravik had ordered others to stand their ground. Now it was his turn. On the last laugh, Commander Iris Vale saw the incoming strike. "Can we intercept?" she asked. "Too close," her tactical officer said. Iris slammed her hand onto the console. "There has to be something." Then a small human fighter broke formation. Its call sign appeared. Wildfire 3. The pilot's voice came through, young and breathless. "This is Lieutenant Maya Quinn. I can make the intercept." Iris froze. "Wildfire 3, negative, pull back." "No time, Commander." "Maya, that is an order." The fighter's engines flared brighter. Maya's voice softened. "Tell my brother I finally did something useful." The channel went silent. Her fighter crossed the missile's path like a spark flying into a storm. For 1 terrible second, nothing happened. Then the fighter hit the missile. A white flash swallowed both. The shock wave slammed into the Night Spear, throwing officers to the floor. The bridge lights died, then returned in weak red emergency glow. Dravik was still alive. He stared at the empty space where the fighter had been. No human victory music played. No joke came through the channel. Only silence. On Orin 7, people watching from shelter saw the flash in the sky. Talon did not know Maya's name yet, but he understood the meaning. Someone had died for strangers. Dravik opened a channel to the last laugh. Iris appeared on screen. Her eyes were wet, but her voice was steady. "Admiral," she said, "Maya Quinn saved your bridge." Dravik lowered his head. In Varkon culture, bowing to another species was unthinkable, but Dravik bowed. "I will remember her name," he said. Iris looked at him. "Then make it mean something." Dravik turned to his crew. "They saved us. Now we save them." He looked at the damaged systems, the failing shields, and the frightened officers waiting for command. "Full power to forward guns. Target Kalor's flagship." Varnik stared. "Our weapons may burn out." "Then let them burn." The Night Spear turned toward the Black Discipline fleet. Dravik's voice entered every channel. "The Empire taught me obedience. Humanity taught me courage. Kalor Ven, face me." The former Imperial flagship charged beside human ships, not as conqueror. When Dravik challenged Kalor openly, thousands of Varkon soldiers heard it and began choosing sides. Thousands of Varkon soldiers heard Dravik's challenge. Some heard it on damaged bridges, some inside fighter cockpits. Others heard it from troop carriers waiting to punish the people of Orin 7. For a few seconds, war stopped inside their minds. They had been taught one truth since childhood: obey or be erased. But Dravik had disobeyed. He had protected civilians. A human pilot had died saving him. Now he was charging toward Kalor not for power, not for victory, but for conscience. On Kalor's flagship, the Iron Law, the War Marshal stood perfectly still. "Destroy the traitor," he said. His officers moved quickly, but not all of them moved with confidence. One young weapons officer stared at the screen. The Night Spear was coming forward with human ships on both sides. Its hull was broken, its shields were weak, but it did not turn away. The officer thought of Orin 7. He thought of the workers who had cheered when the punishment station exploded. He thought of the order to kill them. His hand froze above the firing command. Kalor noticed. "What is your delay?" The officer swallowed. "War Marshal, they are civilians." Kalor turned slowly. "Fire." The officer did not. Kalor pulled his sidearm and shot him. The bridge went silent. "Anyone else confused?" Kalor asked. No one answered, but something changed. Fear had always held the Empire together. Now fear had been pushed too far. Across the Black Discipline fleet, crews watched the execution through internal command feeds. This was not strength, this was panic with a uniform. Then, one Varkon destroyer broke formation. Its captain opened a channel. His voice shook, but he spoke clearly. "This is Captain Ral Sen of the Ashblade. I will not fire on Orin 7. I will not fire on Admiral Dravik." Kalor's eyes burned. "Traitor!" The Ashblade turned its guns away from the planet. Then another ship followed, then 3 more, then 9. The Black Discipline fleet began to split in front of everyone. Commander Iris Vale saw it happen and whispered, "They're choosing." Dravik saw it too. For the first time since Earth, his chest did not feel heavy with shame. It felt heavy with possibility. "Open channel to all defecting Varkon ships," he ordered. Varnik nodded. "Channel open." Dravik spoke with quiet force. "To every soldier who refuses murder, you are not alone. Form on my position. Protect Orin 7. Today we are not Imperial tools. Today we are warriors with honor."
Human ships adjusted formation, making room for the defectors. No one trusted them fully yet, but they made room. Kaelor screamed his final order. "All loyal ships, kill them all!" Space erupted. Varkon fired on Varkon. Human fighters shielded defecting ships. Orin 7 watched the sky burn with fear and hope. At the center of it all, the Night Spear and Last Laugh flew side by side toward the Iron Law. Kaelor had one final weapon hidden inside his flagship, powerful enough to turn Orin 7 into dust.
The final weapon was not on the outside of Kaelor's flagship. It was buried deep inside it. Behind armored doors and loyal guards, a planet-killer core began to wake. It was smaller than the City Breaker missiles, but far more dangerous. It did not need to strike the surface. It only needed to open a gravity wound near the planet. Orin 7 would break from within. On the Last Laugh, alarms screamed. Iris Vale stared at the readings. "What is that energy spike?" Her science officer's voice cracked. "It is coming from inside the Iron Law. Whatever it is building fast." Dravik's face appeared on the side screen. "It is coming from inside the Iron Law. Whatever it is building fast." Dravik's face appeared on the side screen. "I know that signature," he said. "It is a void core. The Empire banned them after the Narix disaster." Iris turned cold. "What does it do?" Dravik looked toward Orin 7. "It kills planets quietly." No one spoke. Below them, millions of newly freed people were still in shelters. Children were still holding their parents. Workers were still looking at the sky, believing freedom had finally arrived. Kaelor was willing to murder them all to prove the Empire could still punish. Iris gave the order. "All ships, focus fire on the Iron Law. Take that core offline now." Human ships, defecting Varkon ships, and the wounded Night Spear attacked together. Rail rounds, missiles, lasers, and plasma bolts slammed into Kaelor's flagship. Its shields flared like a burning wall, but they held. Kaelor appeared on every channel, calm and cruel. "You think mercy makes you strong. It makes you slow. I will erase Orin 7, and every world watching will remember why the Empire ruled." Dravik stepped closer to his screen. "No," he said, "they will remember when your fear failed." The Void Core reached 70%. Iris checked the distance. Too far for boarding ships, too shielded for missiles, too late for a clean strike. Then Varnik spoke from the Night Spear. "Admiral, we can ram." Dravik looked at him. Varnik continued, quieter. "Our engines are damaged, but still powerful. If we overload them and hit the core section, we may destroy it before activation." Iris heard him. "Dravik, don't! We can find another way." Dravik looked at the human commander, then at Orin 7. "You already did," he said. "You showed me one." The Night Spear turned. Its engines burned bright, too bright, pouring every last reserve into one final charge. On Orin 7, Talon looked up and saw the former Imperial flagship become a spear of light. Dravik opened one last broadcast. "To the people of Orin 7, I once came as your enemy. I cannot undo that, but I can choose what I am now." The Night Spear accelerated toward the Iron Law. "Remember Maya Quinn. Remember everyone who chose courage over fear." Then the Night Spear struck Kaelor's flagship. A white explosion filled the sky. When the light faded, the Iron Law was broken, but nobody knew if Dravik had survived. When the light faded, the Iron Law was broken in half. Its black hull drifted above Orin 7 like the bones of a dead monster. Fires burned across its decks. Escape pods launched in panic. The Void Core was gone, destroyed before it could tear the planet apart. But the Night Spear was gone too. Only wreckage remained. On the last laugh, no one cheered. Commander Iris Vale stood frozen, staring at the debris field. "Search for survivors," she said. Her officer answered quickly, "Already scanning." Seconds passed. Too many seconds. Then the scanner beeped. "One life pod," the officer said. "Varkon signature, weak signal. It came from the Night Spear's command section." Iris breathed again. "Bring it in, now." A rescue shuttle launched through the wreckage. It dodged broken armor, burning fuel lines, and pieces of 2 destroyed flagships. Minutes later, the shuttle returned. Inside the medical bay, the pod opened. Admiral Dravik fell forward into the arms of human medics. He was alive, but barely. His armor was cracked. One arm hung uselessly. His breathing was rough. When Iris entered, he forced his eyes open. "Orin 7?" he whispered. Iris stepped closer. "Safe." Dravik closed his eyes. For the first time, his face looked peaceful. Then he whispered another name. "Maya Quinn." Iris swallowed hard. "She saved you. You saved them. That means something." Dravik looked at her with tired eyes. "Not enough." "No," Iris said softly, "but it is a beginning." Below them, Orin 7 watched the sky clear. The people did not know all the details yet. They did not know how close they had come to death. They only knew the weapon had failed, Kaelor's flagship was destroyed, and the former Imperial Admiral who once came as a conqueror had nearly died protecting them. In the main square, Talon lowered his mining hammer. Around him, the crowd stood in silence. Then someone began to clap. One person. Then 10. Then thousands. The sound spread through the city, through the shelters, through the mines, through every broken district where people had once been forced to kneel. They were not clapping for the Empire. They were clapping because something impossible had happened. A weapon had changed sides. A conqueror had chosen sacrifice. A slave world had become the spark of a galactic revolt. Across Imperial space, the battle footage spread faster than the Council could block it. Worlds that had stayed silent began rising. Soldiers refused orders. Governors fled their palaces. Prison gates opened from the inside. The Varkon Council screamed for control, but control was already gone. Ambassador Elena Ward watched the reports from Earth and understood the truth. The war was no longer humanity against the Empire. It had become the galaxy against fear. And fear was finally outnumbered. The final battle would be fought at Varkora Prime, where the Council planned to burn everything rather than surrender.
The imperial capital was called Varkora Prime. For thousands of years, conquered species whispered its name with fear. Its towers were built from black stone and silver metal. Its skies were filled with patrol ships. Its council palace stood above the city like a blade pointed at the stars. Now those stars were full of free ships. Human ships arrived first, then Orin 7 vessels, then defected Varkon warships, then fleets from worlds that had been silent for centuries. They did not come as slaves. They came as witnesses. Inside the council palace, High Chancellor Morvath watched warning lights fill the sky. His generals were gone, Kaelor was dead, Dravik had survived and openly called for surrender. Half the military had abandoned the Empire. Still, Morvath refused to bend. "If we cannot rule the galaxy, then no one will inherit it." He entered the final command code. Across the capital, hidden doomsday weapons began to charge. Their targets were not enemy fleets. They were rebel worlds, former labor colonies, and even Varkon cities that had joined the uprising. Morvath planned to turn defeat into mass death. But this time, the order did not move unseen. Earth intelligence had been inside the capital network for years. The moment Morvath activated the weapons, every screen in the palace changed. Ambassador Elena Ward appeared. "Chancellor Morvath," she said, "you are finished." Morvath's eyes widened. "Impossible!" Elena's face remained calm. "No," she said, "prepared." At the same moment, human hackers locked the launch systems. Orin 7 engineers cut power relays. Defected Varkon officers seized control rooms from the inside. Across the capital, soldiers who had once obeyed without question lowered their weapons and arrested their commanders. Morvath screamed for loyalty. No one answered. The palace doors opened. Admiral Dravik entered slowly, still wounded, supported by Varnek on one side and a human medic on the other. His armor was broken, but his voice was strong. "You taught us obedience," Dravik said. "The humans taught us choice." Morvath stepped back. "You betrayed your species." Dravik looked around the chamber at the officers, guards, and civilians watching in silence. "No," he said, "I helped save it." Morvath reached for a hidden weapon. Before he could fire, Talon stepped forward from the rebel delegation and struck the weapon from his hand with the same mining hammer he had carried on Orin 7. The sound echoed through the palace. A slave's tool had disarmed an emperor. Morvath was arrested without ceremony. No public torture followed, no revenge killing. Humanity refused to let the new galaxy be born from the old empire's cruelty. Months later, the trials began. The guilty were judged, the innocent were protected. The labor worlds became free nations. The Varkon people were not destroyed. They were given the chance to rebuild without chains around their own souls. On Orin 7, children painted flowers on the walls of old prison mines. On Earth, Maya Quinn's name was carved into a memorial for those who saved worlds they had never seen. And in the first assembly of free worlds, Elena Ward stood before humans, Varkon, Orin workers, and hundreds of other species. The Empire believed fear was the strongest force in the universe. It was wrong. Fear can build walls, armies, and thrones, but it cannot build trust. It cannot build peace. It cannot build a future. She looked at Dravik, then at Talon. Only courage can do that. And courage begins when one person says, "No more." The hall rose in applause. The galaxy was not perfect. It would argue, it would struggle, it would make mistakes. Old wounds would take years to heal. But the age of kneeling was over. The Varkon Empire promised destruction. Humanity had answered with laughter, music, sacrifice, and stubborn hope. And against every empire that believed cruelty was power, hope had won. May this message strengthen your faith and renew your hope. Thank you for staying until the end. If this touched your heart, like, share, and subscribe to Astro Realms for more uplifting content. May God's blessings overflow in your life. See you soon.